everybody, it's Christopher Naiman. I have a great tip for you guys. I was teaching a class on patches and I pulled out this low-end mid-range machine, my brother. Fabulous little machine. This was like 10, 13 years old, something like that. And as my student was embroidering, she said, "Is it supposed to be this loud?" And I said, "Yeah, it's a mechanical machine." And then later that evening, I'm like, wait a minute. I have been so used to working with my high-end machines that are so quiet that I didn't realize that, yeah, this is sounding a lot more louder than normal. So after everybody left, I want to show you the patches they were making. So these are the patches that I remade these, and my students took their patches home, but this was done by one of my students. She's a Swiftie fan, and I did these two on this machine here. And then these were samples that you might have seen before that I showed my students what they can accomplish. And they're having fun making these patches. They love these patches because they're so creative. This big one. I love sewing. Yes. Okay. So, and my hands are dirty because I'm in Greece. Okay. So I've been working. All right. So anyway, what I did was I took off the presser foot for the embroidery. And as you can see in this presser foot, when it sews, it goes up, it moves up and down. You see it moves up and down. Well, this was a first for me because I'm not used to this, but this is a great discovery I want to teach you guys. I'm going to play a clip from last night's class and you can hear how loud the machine is, and that's when she's asking me, is it supposed to be that loud? So watch this clip.
Is it supposed to sound like that?
Yeah, it's an old mechanical.
Okay.
Okay, you saw or you heard how loud that machine is. So what I did was, if you look under here, there's a spring there, and this action when this is embroidering, the needle arm moves this foot up and down, up and down, up and down, right? Well, this was all really dry, and excuse me, what I did was I came in and I used some sewing machine oil and I oiled this, let it soak in. Then I took some grease, some motor grease, okay, and I rubbed that on the Q-tip. I put it on a Q-tip and I rubbed it in here like this and worked it in, and then I just kept doing this and working it in, and then I even noticed, oh my God, look how much easier it moves too. So when I put this back on, that loud noise was gone. Now this was really something that I wasn't really aware of because I don't use this machine often. I did buy it for class though. But thank you to my student Mia, who said, "Is it supposed to be this loud?" And I knew it wasn't the needle because it was a brand new needle. And I just thought, well, I'm just not used to it being that loud because of my high-end machine, so I thought that's the way it was supposed to be. But lo and behold, it was this foot. Now, I'm going to load up this foot. I'm going to put this foot back on. I'm going to load it up with a hoop and do some embroidery. And you're going to see how much more quiet this is compared to last night's class I had. And what an amazing difference a little grease and oil does. So actually, after I did all that, I put some more oil on. I let it soak in. Then I laid it on the side and let it drip off. Let it drip off a little bit. And then I tapped it, make sure I got all the excess oil off so it doesn't fall into your hoop and your fabric. And that's what we do. So let me hook this back up and we'll embroider and you'll hear the difference. All right, while I got your attention, let's go over a few things, because a lot of you are new to my channel. You may not have seen my other videos, but I just saw something on a group today where someone was having issues with using black and white thread and said, "Oh, it keeps breaking and I need something different, this and that." And so one of the people on the sewing group says, "Don't use spool caps." And I'm like, what the hell is she talking about? You got to have spool caps. So, spool caps are very, very important when you're using threads, because when you're sewing or embroidery threads, some threads have a slit in it, and that slit was to store the thread. Now, if you have a spool thread that does have a slit in it, this one does not. This is sulky. Oh, and by the way, I was talking about a long time ago, my biggest pet peeve is when you stick your spool in there, how it rips off the paper and you can never read anything. Well, Sulky finally had updated their spools, and they like a record album, they already drilled a hole through there, so you don't have to worry about ripping any paper off, and you'll be able to see. This paper just came off because I peeled it on that side. But anyway, I wanted you guys to be aware of that. Okay, so kudos to Sulky for doing this now. All right, so anyway, the reason why you want to use a spool cap, and you want to use a spool cap that's bigger. Let's pretend this is one of those other spools of thread that has a slit in it. Well, you think you would use a medium spool cap on a Brother or Baby Lock machine, but you don't. The reason because is the thread has to be lifted up and away from the slit. Now, you'll have some people say, oh, well, just put the slit on the bottom. But some spools I found had a slit at the bottom and the top, which surprised me. So a long time ago, while I was reading my instruction manual, which a lot of you don't read, it says to use spool caps. Okay, one lady even argued with me on one of my videos, and she actually called the sewing machine company, and they told her, yes, you have to use spool caps. It's in your instruction manual. And she wrote back, she goes, well, I guess you were right. I'm like, I wasn't right. The instruction manual was right. So read your manuals. All right, and why do we have to use spool caps? Well, like I said, if there's a slit, first of all, it holds the spool of thread onto your spindle if it's in a horizontal position. Okay, because if it slides forward, it could cause problems. It could cause a jam. What I mean by a jam, thread get caught, pull on the needle jams down to your throat plate. You get burrs on your throat plate. Then you got to take it in to get it fixed and get a new throat plate, which costs like $50. So if you're listening to your friends telling you not to do things, ask your friends to send you money for repair bills. Okay, ask those people who are telling you not to use spool caps to send you money for repair bills. All right, so you've got, you know, they come in 3 sizes, standard, and there's a little tiny size that comes, I don't have it right now, but there's a tinier size that comes with the machines now for the little skinny spools, okay? Anyway, so if this had a slit in it, you would not use the medium, you use the large spool cap. And the large spool cap allows the thread to be lifted up and away from any slit on that old standard type of spool cap. And then you won't get any thread caught that'll pull the needle and break it for you. And then you have to call that lady and say, send me $100 for repair bills because you told me I didn't have to use a spool cap. All right, so let me set this back up and let me set up a design on here, and you can listen to the difference on how it sounds now with once I grease the presser foot compared to how it did last night with the video you saw earlier. Okay, all right, I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the Brother Designio, all right? And this is one step up from the budget embroidery machines. I only do a 4x4 hoop. This does a 5x7. Like I said, this machine I think is about 10, 12, maybe 13 years old. But it's a very nice, quiet machine. When I first adopted it, I went and I took it apart. I cleaned it inside, which was barely used. This was one of those barely used machines. I took this off. I painted it. I make sure it was all clean and had grease in there, inside, everything. But the thing I didn't do was this. And this is something I learned that I just taught you. All right, so let's just do an easy design here. Let's just go with a built-in design. I'm just going to do monochrome. It doesn't matter what design I'm doing. All right, so it's going to go with that. Here it's telling me I can use the 4x4 or the 5x7 hoop. And I'm going to use my 4x4. And yeah, that's it. So let's hoop it and let's hear the difference in the sound. Yeah, there's a lot, like I've been telling you in my videos, everyone, there are a lot of used machines on the market that people buy and they're hardly using them. They're all hardly using them because some people are so excited and they get started and then they just let them sit there because they get frustrated because they never took classes. They never took classes to learn, so they get frustrated. Then you've got the high-end machines that grannies buy because it seems like the grannies are the ones that have the money. Their husbands either buy for them, and the women get it as a revenge purchase, or you know they're spending their retirement money on what they always wanted, a beautiful high-end machine, which is just so wonderful. So I myself too love those high-end machines, and when I was younger I could never afford them, and today you know what I do? Because there's so many high-end former top-of-the-line machines on the market because like I said on my videos, every 2 to 4 years, the sewing machine companies come out with a new high-end machine, and the grannies have to have the best and the latest, so they'll trade it in for the next greatest, which the market now is saturated with used high-end machines. They're saturated with these midline lower machines, and it's a buyer's market. A buyer's market. You could pick up one of these machines like this for a couple $100 compared to $1,000 now. You just have to be diligent and look on Marketplace, look at your local garage sales, check the boards at your churches for who died and they're having an estate sale. You know, there's all kinds of places. You just have to look every day, every week, everywhere. And if you're not willing to do that, you're going to miss the deals, you know. Anyway, so let's just hear this sew out, and you can hear the difference in how quiet the presser foot is. Another thing I love about this machine, even though it's a budget machine, it will beep at you if you forget to put the foot down. And always remember, newbies, if newbies are watching this, whenever you thread a machine, whether it's an embroidery machine or a sewing machine, make sure your presser foot is up when you thread. We see on the sewing groups, everyone talking about a wad of thread underneath is bunched up. They don't know why. We call it a bird's nest. It's because when you threaded, you had your foot down and the thread was not engaged in the tension disc. That thread has to be engaged in the tension discs so you don't get that wad of thread, or what we call bird's nesting, underneath the fabric. And that is in your instruction manual. It tells you lift your presser foot when you thread. And like I said, we can see how many people refuse to read their instruction manuals. Let me tell you something real quick. My friend just bought a megabuck top-of-the-line embroidery sewing machine, and she's complaining because there is no paperback instruction manual. And I told her, I said, well, no one reads them anyway. She goes, I do. I said, you're the exception. I'm the exception. There are people who are the exception. But I said, and it's funny, I noticed also on these groups, once the paperback book was no longer provided with a purchase, all these women started bitching about it. And I'm like, well, you were complaining before, you know, oh, it's too, I don't read, I'm a visual learner, blah, 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 blah. Now they don't provide you with one, you're complaining that they don't have it. They give you a digital download now. You can't make people happy, but listen, if you got an instruction manual, hang on to it like the Bible and study and read it, and you won't have to ask all those questions of why this is doing this, or this and that, or what is this presser foot that came with my machine? Well, if you open up the manual, there's a diagram in it that shows you. So keep all this in mind, everyone. There's everything here to help you. You just have to be initiative on your own. That's why we say, what does sewing teach you? Sewing teaches you how to be self-sufficient and independent. So you know how to look up this stuff on your own. All right, now listen to the sound. Oh, if I try to sew, what's going to happen? You hear that beep? It's reminding me to put my foot down. Because on the older mechanical machines that don't have that, if you start sewing, for example, with the foot up, you're going to get a wadded thread as well. Here we go. And you're going to hear how quiet this is now compared to last night. You see? Big difference.
Is it supposed to sound like that?
Yeah, it's an old mechanical.
Okay.
Big difference. Big difference. All it took was some sewing machine oil, a little grease. You get this at any type of grease from the auto parts store. And there you go, nice and quiet now. I hope this tip helped you. I hope I didn't preach too much. You know, I'm just trying to help you all be self-sufficient and independent, and open up those instruction manuals if you have them. And like my friend who just bought her top-line machine, she's got to go to Kinko's now or whatever and have it printed. And I told her, well, thank all those ladies that never look in their manuals. So the sewing machine company said, well, if no one's reading the paperback manuals, we'll just make it a download now and we'll save a tree. With that said, I bid you all a good, happy sewing and embroidery evening in your homes. Love you all. Bye-bye.